Okay, I'm on live right now. Hey, Aurelia Wynn, checking in. What's happening? I hope you have been having a good week so far. Tonight, I want to give you a sneak peek of the self-publishing roadmap. Let me find the list. I want to go over. Hey, come on in. Come on in. How's it going? Tonight we're going to be going over just some of the chapter titles of the. Shoot. We're just going to be going over some of the chapter titles to give you a sneak peek. Okay, that cut it all the way off. Ooh, excuse me. We just got done having dinner. Hang on. Tia, come shut my door, please. So we're going to go over the chapter titles of the Self-Publishing Roadmap, the complete guide to publishing freedom through creative writing, marketing, and selling books in the USA by me, Aurelia Wynn. And so this book has about 9 different chapters. The first one is called Self-Empowerment, a Necessary Starting Point. Chapter 2 is called Create a Plan, Where Are You Headed? Chapter 3 is What is Book Publishing? Chapter 4 is Self-Publishing, Do It Yourself. Chapter 5 is Book Publishing, The Path to Passive Income. Hey. Chapter 6 is Bookstores Selling Your Books Wide. Chapter 7 is Marketing Strategies, Best Tools for Your Belt. Chapter 8 is on finding readers, ways to generate leads. And then chapter 9 is the conclusion. Listen, who is this book for? This book is for all indie authors. That's right, all indie authors, whether you are self-published or not. But for sure enough, if you are self-published, listen, this is it, right? And earlier this morning, I mentioned, I was very sarcastic in the beginning of my publishing journey. It was almost a kind of an annoyance when people would ask me, like, oh, how do you publish a book? Like, they would ask me this loaded question in a DM, and it's like, whoa, well, what, like, do some research? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? And so, forgive me if you were ever one of those people who asked me in my DM, like, how do you become a publisher? That's such a loaded question, but I have broken it down. Hey, what's up? I have broken it all down and put it into a book that will be out on Monday. It's called The Self-Publishing Roadmap. Again, the complete guide to publishing freedom through creative writing, marketing, and selling books in the United States. And I highly recommend, although it says the self-publishing roadmap, this includes everything from how to finance your book publishing dreams, how to write a business plan to potentially maybe get a bank loan. If you are willing to take that risk, I mean, it gives you everything, with a disclaimer that all of this is from my experience. A lot of it is research based, but I want to say about 90% is from my experience. I'm sharing with you my mistakes as well as the lessons that I've learned. I'm sharing with you what I've learned from training as a publisher, as an author. Every week, at least every week this year, I've been in some sort of author publisher training just because this is all that I want to do. And I believe that with anything that we do, you might as well be the best at it. Like, you might as well be the best at it, because why halfway do anything? And so that's just kind of how I operate. And so this is probably, and I've done a lot of research on like self-publishing guides and self-publishing books and they don't give you the full recipe, baby. They'll give you the sauce or they'll give you the pasta, but they do not put the spaghetti together. Okay, maybe I'm thinking about that because we had macaroni and cheese for dinner, just something like. And so, yeah. And so I feel like it's really going to be a game changer for a lot of people. And it's going to be made available on my website as well as on Amazon for $38. And you might be saying that's a lot for a book, but it's basically a textbook, right? And it will be probably something in the future that I teach from. I definitely can see breaking this down into a 9 or an 8-week program and teaching from it. And I mean, it could be either, you spend $38 to learn how to self-publish, how to even possibly expand upon some of these ideas and become your own publisher. I mean, the value of it is worth millions, right? Because the book publishing industry is a $26 billion industry. And while it might be stagnant at this moment, as in it's like, and it's just like that, but that's still good. It's not going down. It's not losing its value anytime soon. Matter of fact, I was in a training just the other day, and they were talking about how even with traditional publishing, the authors who were traditional publishers now have a hand in the advertising and the marketing of their own books. But however, this is like that's good, but like not really, because honestly, as a traditionally published author, you're getting 10 cents on the on the dollar of every one of your sales. And so that's really not a lot. And so if you are putting in money to for ads for your book as a traditional published author, a lot of times that's going to your publisher before it ever comes to you. But as a self-published author, if you are investing money into your journey, if you're investing money in your ads, even if you're a hybrid publisher, you're a hybrid published author, which is also considered an independent author. If you spend any kind of money on ads and on marketing, you will see a direct return from it. At least with Win Publications, I know we pay out our authors 60% of their royalties. And so that's a lot higher than traditionally published authors. But yeah, given it's not self-publishing. With self-publishing, you get 100% royalties, but you also do 100% of the work. But hey, that's okay. What if you had a plan? What if you were given a plan in place where you just plug in your numbers and, shop around with banks, and see if you can get some funding to publish your book. I actually had an author who did something similar to that. She had used a business plan, and took it to her bank and said, hey, this is what I want to do. She did that, but then she also did a Kickstarter. And so between her business loan and between her Kickstarter, she was able to fund the publishing of her children's book, which I believe she said cost her between $5,000 and $6,000. And so that's not bad. And if you have a plan, because especially if you're taking money or borrowing money, you're going to want to have a plan to pay that back, and you want it to be as realistic as possible, and as pessimistic as possible, worst case scenario as possible, to make sure that you actually rise above and you actually meet those goals that you set in your plan. And so this book, again, the self-publishing roadmap will be out on Monday. I'm just laying it all out there. And maybe we'll see, because things change so much over time. This is for 2022. Maybe there'll be another edition next year, and each year as the industry changes and the industry grows, it's very much becoming almost like the music industry, where publishers are expecting their authors to have a platform. And this is nothing new. A lot of times it's hard for writers to become published authors are to be picked up by the top 5 or even any publishing company, any traditional publishing company, if they do not have a platform already. Like if they don't already have followers, if they already are not in their community, if they're already not in some way, shape, or form being seen, it's really difficult for them to get published, no matter if they have a good story or not. They want to know, what all are you bringing to the table? Your great, amazing story is just like putting a toe in the door. It might get you noticed, but some of these other things, that's what they're looking for. And that's kind of the difference at when publications right now. And that might be something that I just really hang on to, is I plan to grow with my authors. If you don't have a platform, but you're willing to speak up and develop and grow as you start sharing your message, then let's talk. I would be interested in knowing you and helping you do that, because while self-publishing is great, you have 100% control. It's also all on you, right? It's 100% on you, but that's okay. I even tell, self-publishing authors, you don't have to self-publish alone. Some self-publishing authors just reach out to me as their mentor and just for guidance and direction. And I'm making myself available for that right now. I can't say that that will be a position that I hold all the time, because I just see things changing within the next 6 to 12 months. And so definitely take advantage of that, especially if you have a book written, or even if you have a book idea. Let's find out how you can get this on paper and how you can get this message out there. For a lot of writers, they're finding that their book is their tool. They're finding that their book is opening doors for them that they might not would have had if they didn't publish their book. So they're becoming speakers. They're being invited to go to their local schools, or they take the initiative and they go to their local library and they share their story, or they get into all of these things that now bring so much more meaning to their life and so much more purpose to their life. Not that you don't have purpose and meaning without that, but it's like the icing on the cake. It makes it that much sweeter. And so those are some things that you can think about. And so, one of the things that I always say, and I'll probably always say this, I don't know if I'll say it on every episode, but really with publishing a book, okay, it is what? It's 20% know-how and 80% mindset. When fear starts creeping in, or doubt starts creeping in, or naysayers, because, sometimes we get so excited and we want to tell our friends and our family, and they might just not really understand. And so you might be thinking, oh man, can I really do this? Absolutely. If you have the idea, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be something that's rushed. One of the things, I was at a training last week, and the speaker said something, and that was, people will overestimate what they can do in a year, but they will underestimate what they can do in 5 years, what they can do in 10 years. Well, you might put out a book this year or in the next 365 days. Are you in it for the long haul? What about in 5 years? What about in 10 years, right? Because, God willing that we're all still on this earth in 10 years. I plan to be here for at least another 100 years. Quite frankly, okay? And so what I'm saying is, your first book doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. And I want to say that every author that's come across my path, whether we are still in a business relationship or still in a friendship or not, they have walked away with a book. They have walked away with some lessons, some learning, and probably a whole lot of patience. Because one thing that you will get from the book publishing process, whether you self-publish or you work with a hybrid publisher or you work with a traditional publisher, is you are going to get a good cup of patience, because you might think that everything is going to go perfect and everything is going to go smoothly. And I am here to break that glass for you, because a lot of times situations arise that are beyond our control. And so there has been in the past where we have said, okay, boom, book drops on Monday, and here comes Monday, and where is that book? Oh shoot, okay, we gotta push it back to the next day. So then book comes out on Tuesday, and then yeah, the book actually does come out on Tuesday. And so little things like that, and it's like, how are you able to keep a calm head in the middle of problems? Or are you the kind of person that gets pissed and just flies off at the mouth and just cannot keep your cool, and so those kind of things, right? And so those are some kind of things that you have to think about. And all of that has to do with your mindset. Yes, know-how is important, and that's why I started to do these Instagram lives and share them to YouTube so that you can watch the replay, just in case. I know I talk really fast, and so that's okay. If you have to watch it again, watch it with a notebook, take some notes, and write down whatever resonates with you. But give yourself time. I mean, really, especially if you're just starting out, give yourself time. Decide that you want to be in this for the long haul, especially if, in the beginning, it's kind of hard, because the more that you do it, the more progress you make, and the easier it becomes. And even if you're afraid, I remember listening to this guy talking about how he was a mountain climber and how he never wore what are those things called, like those suspenders that you use to like make sure that you don't fall. Well, this guy never wore those, and he was like climbing really tall mountains. And a news reporter, I want to say this was like on, I can't think of the name of the show, but this was on one of those like discovery shows kind of thing. And the reporter was asking him, like, how do you do that? Are you afraid? Like, how long, he had been doing that for 10 years. And the guy said, you know what? The first few times I was afraid. The first few times my family was afraid for my safety, because this is a really dangerous thing. And he said, but the more and more that I did it, I just, the fear just started to melt off, because I became confident. And so when it comes to writing a book and publishing a book, absolutely, it could be a scary thing because you've never done it before. And that's why I say give yourself time. Maybe decide today or tomorrow or whenever you decide to write and figure out that you want to publish your book, commit to it for the long haul, in hopes and in expectation that you will grow, that you will progress. The more I did it, the fear came off. Exactly. And that's with anything. Right? That's with anything in life. Though I'm definitely applying this to writing and publishing books, that's with anything new in life. Like, I don't know. I live here in Texas, and so I know one of the things that my daughter and I have said that we wanted to do was like ride horses. I've been on a horse like twice in my life. And so, yeah, that seems really scary. Animals in general. Okay. I'm such a chicken. Like I must have learned how to ride a bike at the age of 17. Like, for reals. Okay. I just am not the type of person who likes to get hurt and like likes to try scary things. And so now as an adult, I'm like, man, I wish I would have, not been so afraid, or I wish I would have had someone in my life to encourage me to try it, to like freaking do it. And the more that you do it, the less scary it becomes. And then when you're in the moment doing it, you're just like, oh, this wasn't that bad. But at the same time, like on the other end, on the other side of that coin is when problems do arise, are you able to remain level-headed? Or are you going to run back to fear? Or can you be still and stare that lion in the face and say, I'm not going to be afraid. We are going to push through this. And that's why I say, hey, work with somebody. I'm going to suggest that you work with me, but maybe we don't vibe or mesh, and that's okay. There's so many self-publishing assistants out there that you do not have to self-publish alone. You do not have to go on this book publishing journey alone. Matter of fact, I do not recommend it, because who do you talk to? Absolutely, you can get in Facebook groups and ask questions, but you also have to understand the nature of like group work and like the nature of like these different Facebook groups. a lot of times it's like a cesspool for fear. It really is. And so you want to make sure that you have someone in your corner that's pushing you, that's saying, hey, that's okay. You can be afraid right now, but I'm going to give you 5 minutes to be afraid. And then when those 5 minutes are over, we've got to move forward, that kind of thing. And I'm definitely that person. And it's so wonderful because there's been areas in my life where my authors have turned around and said, hey, Aurelia, remember we said we were not going to be afraid to do things? Oh, yeah. And so the finger gets pointed back at me, and I'm open to receive that as long as my authors that I work with are open to receive that too. And that's how we move, and that's how we operate. One of the things that I say at Win Publications is we will, and we will win together. And so I absolutely believe that when I win, and every one of my successes is also a success for the authors that I work with. And so I wear that as a badge on my chest that, these goals and accomplishments that I have are also going to change the lives of the people that I work with. And so this book, if you're just now getting in, I'm talking about the Self-Publishing Roadmap, the complete guide to publishing freedom through creative writing, marketing, and selling books in the United States. Everybody needs to go ahead and get a copy of this. It's coming out on Monday. And it just has everything in it. I am showing you my hand. I am showing you how I make money in the book publishing industry. And I mean, if you are someone who is like, can think outside of the box, which I feel like all writers are, our strong suit, our strength is in creativity, our strength is in our imagination. If you ever have a problem, my suggestion is to tap into your imagination to figure out how to solve it, especially if you're a creative. That's your strength. I mean, come on, tap into that, tap back into that. Don't forget that that is your strength. If you are creating anything, right? If you are creating handmade jewelry or anything. I mean, if you're creating music, if you're creating marketing materials for your real estate business, I mean, really, if you're creating recipes, whatever, if you're creative, that means that you have the ability to imagine. And through your imagination, you have the ability to problem solve. And you have the ability to grab my book and make it work for you and make it do what it do. But also, I know one thing about it, and why I've been able to do so well in the book publishing industry is because I meet people who just don't enjoy doing every step of the process as you would have to when it comes to self-publishing. You would be overseeing every step of the process, not only the writing, but you would have to find an editor, you would have to find a book designer, you would have to find someone to do your book cover. A lot of people dish out $5,000 and up for a marketing company to help them with their marketing. And it's just these different pieces that you're overseeing and you're paying for. And a lot of people don't want to have that kind of control. They don't want to do that. Well, that's why they come to Win Publications. That's why they come to me, because sometimes they just want to write. And that's okay. That's okay. I actually enjoy the complete book publishing process. And that's why I've been doing this for the last 4 years. I actually got my start 8 years ago, and got into my own company 4 years ago and fell in love with every step of the way because I am a creative and I like being able to problem solve, and I like being able to use my imagination to solve problems. And so I'm sharing with you my experience, what I do, how I get over humps, how I get over mountains, is through using my imagination and trying to figure it out. And another thing that I'll leave you guys with before I jump off is knowing your options. Knowing your options is going to be key. And that's another thing about like these Facebook groups. A lot of people will say, don't pay a publisher, don't pay a publisher, don't pay a publisher. Well, those same people that are screaming that have probably had bad experiences with publishers that they paid in the past. And I would say, even if you have had that experience, try again. Like, do something different, right? mistakes are going to be costly, especially in this field. And the other day I was in a training, and that was something that they said was decide right now how much are you willing to spend on mistakes. And you actually have to give it a number. Like, how much am I willing to lose on mistakes? Because it probably is going to happen. And not even like trying to be negative or anything like that. Just when you're doing something new, you are going to make mistakes. And so mistakes can cost $100 or hundreds of dollars. But the whole thing is you can consider it as like a lesson, like a course. You just spent, I don't know, someone I worked with, for example, I worked with this author who was publishing children's books. She had hired a company in Colombia somewhere and gave them over $6,000 to do her children's book. Well, it was all fine and dandy until it came time to actually design the book. Would you know these people did not know how to like design the book, as in like they didn't know how to like format the pictures to the actual size of the book. So it's one thing to, I want to see if I can find, I don't have it near me, but when you think of like a 17 by 19 size paper, and or whatever size it is that artists paint their pictures on, that's not going to work for a book. That's not going to work for a book. And so you need to have someone, if you are having your children's illustrations hand painted, your illustrator, your publisher, whoever you're working with needs to know how to get that into a digital form by like scanning in the pictures or by taking high quality photos of the images and cropping those down and making it fit into the size of your book. Well, they didn't know how to do that. And so by the time she came to me, she was so frustrated. She had spent $5,000 plus on this company, which she ended up backing out of, and all she was left with was a half-ass book. Excuse me, she just was left with a half-done book. And she was like, "Can you help me?" And I said, "Yeah. Yeah." And it was a quick, easy fix. And she was like, "Are you serious?" I said, it's not that bad, you know? And so these are some things that you need to make sure if you're paying someone that you're knowledgeable about it. One of the things that I make sure that I take time to do with my authors is educate them. Look, this is what we're doing. This is a part of the process. This is what's going on. Do you have any questions? I recommend you doing some research on your own so that way you can verify what I'm saying. Don't be afraid to double check. Don't be afraid to look up information yourself so that way you're in the know. And again, that's another reason why I'm offering these courses. That's another reason why I'm doing these Instagram lives and sharing these books, because I want you to be in the know. You don't have to work with me. At some point, I feel like I will get extremely picky and be so unavailable to a lot of people. But right now, I'm available. Get on my roster while you can. Get on my roster while you can. And come learn. Come learn with me. Because, you know, it's getting hard out here. It's getting hard out here. And so I just want to put that bug in your ear that, you know, don't let finances stop you when it comes to publishing books. This will be the last thing that I'll say. I know I said that already. I feel like I'm like a pastor now where, you know, they carry on and they're like, okay, what? 10 more minutes. And then they go on for like another hour. But no, for real. The last thing that I'll say is don't let finances stop you from publishing your book. If you have to save your money to put your book out there, save. While you're saving your money, you should be looking for resources to increase your knowledge. Get that education because it's so important. So many authors in these different writers groups cry all the time and complain all the time. And I know I'm rolling my eyes, but I don't even blame them. But at the same time, it's like, man, had you done a little bit more research, had you done a little bit more homework, and you can't go back to the past. You can only say, hey, that's a lesson and move on. But the lesson should be to learn more. You don't know what you don't know unless you're looking. I mean, a quick Google search, get on YouTube and take the time to actually do that and take the time to actually get to know what it is that you need to know, or get with a mentor, get with me. I will walk you through it. Come with questions, or come ready to just let me run my mouth and rant, because I'm good at that as well. So whatever it is that you need help with, let me know. Let somebody know. You don't have to publish alone. You have options. Look into them and figure out what's best for you with where you are right now in your life. Or you can even set it aside while you improve yourself, while you improve your life, while you improve your finances. So that way, when you're in a better position, not only are you more financially able or stable or capable, and hopefully by that time that you are there at that point, if that's the road that you're on, hopefully by that time where you're like, okay, this is a green light, hopefully by then you also have some education. And so that way, when you get ready to move forward to work with a publisher or to work with any service provider, be it a children's illustrator or any book designer, you know what you're doing. You're coming to the table and you're not going to be taken advantage of, because you know the lingo, you know the jargon, you know how things are supposed to go, or you know how things can go, and you know what you want. And so that's all I have for tonight. I'm so passionate about this. I hope that you all tune in with me again tomorrow night, 7:30 Central Standard Time, right here on Instagram Live. If you are just now coming in, or if you missed anything, this will be up on YouTube shortly. I also need to post the video from Writers Cafe this morning, where I also shared a little bit about this book. And so again, this will be out on Monday. You can pre-order it on misswin.com, and I will send you a copy, and I will sign it for you even. And so if that's something that you are interested in, you can head there now, misswin.com. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow night. Have a good night. I'll see you then.